This is the Mom Curious podcast, where we say the quiet part out loud about womanhood, motherhood, and everything in between.
And I still have a couple of the vials.
Shut up!
No, you shut up. I kept them, so
You're just hoarding sperm?
No.
That was a joke. That was a joke.
That was a joke. 30, like my mid-30s, when like my body started changing and stuff after shitting out 3 kids.
Stop taking advice from people on the internet, like myself included.
And I didn't realize how heavy that would be, and that loving my children would not be enough to make me not a basket case.
And that gave me the freedom to do something for myself.
And it's an adventure that is not just all doom and gloom.
You know better, and if you didn't, now you know. Hi, welcome back. I'm Daniella Ravani. This is the Mom Curious podcast. Today we are joined by the head of social media at the Free Press. She's repping a Free Press sweatshirt, big fan of the Free Press, and a self-proclaimed what is it?
Former climate activist?
I'll tell you why I'm confused.
Yeah.
Her name is Lucy Biggers. She's great. At Lucy Biggers. If you want to follow her, just preemptively. Well, don't scroll away.
You're scrolling.
Yeah, exactly.
Get out your phones.
Yeah, right. They're on their phones. They're always on their phones.
They could be on their desktop at lunch. You know?
Do you think so?
I don't know.
Okay, you never know. Anyway, I'll tell you why I was confused by the title, because you actually say former climate influencer.
Yeah.
Which is different than former
Did I
climate
say
activist.
influencer to you? I forget what I said.
We
I go
just
back
met,
and forth.
Lucy.
I know, but before the...
We literally just met this second. You didn't say
I know,
anything
but
to me.
before the interview, you guys asked me for my title. So this is the thing. I was a climate influencer at my old job at Now This News from 2015 to 2021. And I covered the climate in a way that I was an advocate for all of the things that I was covering. So I was an advocate and activist in the sense that I was pushing the narrative 100% as like a mouthpiece. So I always, and then I built up my following on social media to 50,000. So I say climate, I go back and forth, but in most of my videos, I'll say climate activist because I feel like that kind of, you just get it, versus like influencers, like you have more questions.
But I like the questions. That's kind of my job, is the questions.
Yeah.
So
that's why we're here. But for short videos, I think saying I'm a climate activist, it's just like.
I had so many questions I couldn't even say it out. I had more questions than I could even get out of my mouth. But I also discussed, I'm going to be very transparent with you, friends. I got a lip flip, and I just need you to know that
we're just so real.
Never not. I have to tell you this because I might have a speech impediment.
I don't notice it at all.
Because we just met.
Yeah, I don't know what you're normally
like.
But
Gabe, our amazing engineer, who you all know well, he's like, he sees it. But
he said he looks good, though.
We need it to look good. If you're going to get a lip flip, that's literally the whole point. No one cares how you talk as long as you look good. Especially as a podcast host. So if I have like a speech impediment, like I can't literally say the title of my guest's job, let's say.
Blame the lip flip.
It was free.
Oh, well, there you go.
I went to an event where they were giving out Botox.
It looks very natural, so.
And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about nature.
Never would have known.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
You're 35, by the way. I need to talk about looking young for a second because I definitely thought you were 25. So when you were like, I'm a former climate influencer, I was like, as a teenager?
No,
as a preteen?
Okay, I get that I look young all the time, and I just really eat that up. It's crazy because people think I'm almost like a prodigy. They're like, how old? You're so impressive for a young lady. I'm like, I'm 35. And they're like, oh, well, that makes
now
more
you're
sense.
Less
like
impressive.
You're like,
no, you're like impressive, but you're less impressive.
Yeah, I'm less impressive.
Actually,
I'm like,
you
I've
make
lived
more
a little.
sense. That's the
makes
thing.
More sense.
Yeah.
But I've gone viral a few times on X, and I'll have like all, like the classic X people like Bill Ackman or Mark Andreessen, and they'll be like, this young lady's got it figured out. And I'm like, they don't know I have like a mortgage and 2 kids. Like, obviously I'm saying the things I'm saying because I've lived a little. So it's just funny.
No, but you like have like interviewed Greta Thunberg, who was like a little tiny baby at the time.
Yeah, she
and
was
we
like
were
16.
like, we were so excited about her. And we we love prodigies.
No, we love a teen prodigy moment.
Yeah.
But I was like 29 interviewing her when she was 16. So.
Oh. But you looked like you were 16. I saw the pictures.
Thank you.
I do my research. And it's all about the way you look. Clearly.
It doesn't
because
matter.
I can't even talk.
Matters.
Listen, I'm just going to make really short questions and then let you talk most of the time.
I love
for
to talk,
the
so
rest.
I can literally talk so much. So if you want me to like amp up my talking, I can do that for you.
Okay, I need to understand something.
Okay.
Climate change is real.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I know this, right?
Yeah.
With the warming of the planet is happening.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But you're saying that it's not as bad as we think?
The panic about it is the problem. Yeah. So the planet's warming, and when I was in the climate movement, I had this impression that this was this existential threat, that we had 10 years left or else the planet was going to explode. It was a lot of very extreme rhetoric, and I felt very existential. And then when I left the movement and started doing more research, I understood that it's not existential. And while the planet's warming, it's really something manageable that we can deal with. And also the amount that we're impacting it, like because we put CO2 into the atmosphere when we burn oil and coal and natural gas. We've been doing that for 150 years. The amount that that's actually heating the planet, or we're going through a natural warming period, is up for debate. So there's just, I thought it was completely our fault and it was a doomsday scenario, when really we're not even sure how much we impact it, and it's definitely not a doomsday scenario.
Okay, we talked about your title at
the Free Press.
Well, not the Free Press, although I do love the Free Press. Now this?
Yes, Now This. Yeah. Do you know it?
It was a very, very left-wing
Yes.
news outlet. But you're saying that you were an activist and an advocate, but you were a journalist.
I mean, I don't think of myself as a journalist. I was like a video producer there. So I would scroll every day, like my day today when I was there, and I was there from 25 to 31. I would log on, scroll looking for stories, and then edit them into our format, video format, which at the time was like this very well-known text, white and yellow text with some music. And I would edit those videos and put them onto our page. Very similar to what you see now on like a TikTok and all this stuff, but it was like the first company that was doing that.
Yeah.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
So I never thought of myself as a journalist. I always thought of myself as a producer. I always felt like I was pushing a certain narrative and story. I wasn't like reaching out to sources to fact check, you know. I'm just like seeing what like a pipeline protest. I mean, like this pipeline protest, like you got to support it, like because those evil fossil fuel companies. So some people that I work with called themselves journalists, but I always was like, you guys are taking yourselves a little too seriously. We're like aggregators. So I never have thought of myself.
I feel like I'm getting a
inside look at news, and it's a little scary, actually.
Yeah, definitely. The amount of newsrooms that are still calling sources and have that old way of doing things is very small, and that's why I love the Free Press. Shout out, because
we've shouted out the Free Press.
I'm going to shout out every minute on the dot. No, but it was because when I was in this newsroom, so it's 2015. We're very like millennial boomers. Millennial, like Bernie bros.
Are you calling me old?
No, but I don't know. I'm like,
You're calling me old because I have Botox over my lip.
Are you, how are you?
I'm 41.
Oh, okay. Well, we're the same.
Are we though?
You're a little bit older than me.
I am.
But I was like I was in the
I'm
center.
a boomer.
No, you're like a boomer millennial. You're like elder millennial.
Ancient.
Which means like, do you own a home or do you rent?
I rent. I happily rent. I'm not really interested in owning
you live in Brooklyn.
home.
I just have friends because I live in the suburbs, and they bought their houses in like 2018, and they're like your age, and I'm just like, oh, you got such a good deal.
I know, they got great deals.
Yeah,
They
great
really
deals.
did. They actually did.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so when I was a millennial in this newsroom, there were no older people who were teaching us the ropes. The oldest person in the newsroom was like 29, and I'm like 25. And then there's a lot of 24-year-olds. And so we were just very susceptible to groupthink and propaganda. And we're all scrolling on Facebook in the 20 teens. We're all Bernie supporters. And the next thing you know, we're all like radicalized left-wing like nuts. And there was no like 60-year-old, old school guy who's like, call your sources, like fact check, And now at the Free Press, like we like joke that half of the audience, half our newsroom is like 70-year-old men and like 28-year-old Jewish girls. It's like that's like
I did notice the
Jewish Free
girls.
Press. It's either like short Jewish girls or 70-year-old men.
Okay.
But the
Interesting
70-year-old men
demographic.
keep us honest.
Do they?
Yeah, because they've been around the block. Like they know how to report. They know journalism.
Right.
So you take the time to fact check and get your sources and all these things. And so when I was at Now This, we had this huge platform. We had millions of followers on Facebook. We were a digital first news company, and it was just run by a bunch of young people, and we didn't know what we were doing. And so
you did. You did know how to push out.
Well, right. Yeah.
But you did know what you were doing. And you still do, because you went back on your Instagram and, came out as a climate realist, which is what I would really call you, which is why I literally couldn't say it. It wasn't the lip. It was because that's what in my head, believe you
yes,
are.
climate realist, yes.
Okay. But you know how you grew the free press
exactly.
very quick. You actually do know what you're doing.
No, I know what I'm doing in regards to making videos go viral, but
Which is different than
which has always been my skill.
journalism.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So it's almost like now I'm using my same skills that I learned at Now This to get this message out about the climate realist stuff, because there is a huge disconnect between the common knowledge of the public of where this climate science is. I think the average person, if you never really think about it, you think that the world is somehow burning, right? You kind of unexamined belief. The world is burning, fossil fuels are evil, and we just got to go to net zero carbon emissions by X date. That's kind of the standard.
But can you debunk them?
Well, and
or not debunk them?
well, so
I actually I'm not a scientist.
No, I know.
I'm not. And by the way, if the world was burning and it was an existential threat, or is currently, like, I would want to know. I do want to know. But most people listening to this podcast, like have children,
No, I know.
or are
That's huge.
considering having children,
That's like,
or like have real problems in their life, or
Right.
issues in their life, or mortgages, you know.
Yeah.
And I want to know what we need to put on our plate to deal with,
Right.
and what we don't. So
Exactly.
if you can, like,
I will. And I think, the point that I am making is that the common knowledge on this is wrong when the science is out there that says this is not something to fear. But the people who are sending that message, it's like, hey, this isn't something to fear. They're like mustached 7-year-old geologists, right? So like they're not breaking through in the way that I know how to break through and go viral. And so I think of myself as a bridge between these scientists the climate realists who've been saying this since the year 1999. And they've been kicked off platforms. They've been censored. A lot of them have lost their jobs at professorships. It's been really bad, the censorship against them. And only in the last 5 years has it kind of loosened up. And so I think I'm using my skills now to help these people's message get out. So everything that I'm always sharing on my page, if you go to it, it's a mix of my personal story of leaving the climate movement and then some science stuff with charts. And that's all the climate realist scientists who have done all this research, and I'm just kind of getting the message out there. But do you want to know where my
I love
take
the
is?
charts.
I love a chart.
I love knowing that the head of Greenpeace,
Yes, Patrick Moore,
is also what we would call a climate realist now.
Yes. He left Greenpeace years and years ago, probably 15, 20, maybe late 90s. But I don't know. He's written several books. I think maybe one of his first books came out in like 2008 or something like that.
For a second, I thought you said he left in 1520.
No, sorry.
And I was
like 2015,
that was such a long time.
No, so there's been a lot of people. Michael Schellenberger's another former green activist who left. He was sort of in the movement in the 90s, and then he came out in the early 2000s, I guess. And then, so there's a lot of people. But so this is the whole thing about climate change that I think is so interesting, is that the planet has warmed 1.3 degrees of Celsius, right? Yeah, you love this. Okay.
I do love it. I love the charts, and we don't have any. So like, whatever the charts are in
if you go
your
to my
brain-
page, Lucy Vigors, you can also see I'm always screenshotting charts.
or like,
I
listen
love a
to
chart.
this interview.
No, never go to my page. Just listen to this interview. Okay, so we've had 1.3 degrees of warming since 1850. Okay, that's the arbitrary date that they picked because that was when we started burning fossil fuels. That's like the industrial age. So that's why we always go back to this baseline of 1850, which is arbitrary. Because if you even go back to 1600, there was warming happening before that too. But whatever. We're just going to go to 1850. It's like kind of the dawn of the modern era where we had the steam engine and we have factories. Okay, so we started burning fossil fuels. And since that time, our planet, like average temperature, has risen by 1.3 degrees of Celsius of warming. However, it has coincided with the most human flourishing and prosperity that the world has ever known. We have more wealth, less poverty than ever, more female literacy, lowest infant mortality, highest GDP per capita. On every statistic, we are thriving, right? Like access
the
to
United
clean water.
States?
The world.
The whole world?
The whole world is doing better
Third
than
world countries.
they're doing better than they were 150 years ago.
Okay.
They still could do better. Like we want to get everyone up to our standard,
Yeah.
but even the
Of living.
difference between, people living on $1 a day, it just keeps going down. And that's all happened when we've had 1.3 degrees of warming. And so then the climate alarmists try to say, if we have another 1 degree of warming, it's the end of the world as we know it. And it's like, dude, we just had 1 degree of warming. You don't even notice, except for the fact that we're so wealthy and so prosperous. Look at us now. We're sitting in this podcast studio, just two women chatting. We're not like milling grain by hand and
they
like have like
care
kids.
about what we have to say.
Yeah, and like we have time to talk about it, and like think about how much electricity and how much industry goes into building like this podcast studio. It's a miracle, really. Like all the things that had to go right for us to be here, and all of those things have been made possible by industrialization, by the burning of fossil fuels, by cheap, abundant, reliable energy. and the climate movement tries to say that reliable energy, the fossil fuel, the fossil fuels that we use, the coal, the oil, the natural gas, are going to destroy the planet.
Or are
destroying the planet
right now.
Yeah, and it's so crazy because then you look around and like basically every single statistic that they push is not true. It's crazy. Like polar bears, they're dying, and they'll show like a deceased looking polar bear that's like emaciated, and it turns out like every polar bear is really skinny in the spring because of like it was winter and they were hibernating or whatever, and it's like they're like it's climate change, and then it's like no, that was just like you found the one hungry polar bear.
Yeah, but like I have guests sitting right here who are like who have been to the Amazon, and these indigenous people are saying like, please help us, like we are really suffering here with. I don't think they call it. I don't think necessarily the indigenous people will say it with climate change, but
industry,
But
so
also, or they've gone to the Antarctica and they'll say like the icebergs are. I mean, my guess.
And I think
with their own eyes.
And I know that there have been. We're in a warming period, so like you have less ice sheets over different periods of time, and it's cyclical, and like right now it's kind of on an upswing. It was a really historic low in the Arctic in like 2012, then it's gone up. In regards to the Amazon rainforest, like I think that that's development, right? So like a lot of times that could be clearing land to plant soy monoculture crops that we're then putting into soybean oil, and we're putting in our peanut butter, like whatever. It's like that's international trade issues, and like that's always happened in some capacity. But at the same time, we have less. We are feeding more people on less land now than we were 150 years ago, because we have had the green revolution of fertilizers and pesticides and all these things that get vilified a lot of times, but at the same time are like an absolute miracle.
Pesticides?
Yeah, because of like
pesticides to like an organic mommy?
I know. But you know what? In the end of the day, they allow us to feed the billions of people that we feed. And so
elaborate on that, because I don't know that that message gets enough airtime.
I think that if you go back to how we did agriculture 150 years ago, it's glamorized, but it was a lot more human labor, and you had a lot more percentage of the population was working in agriculture. And now we've industrialized agriculture. So you have huge combine tractors that can plow things. You have genetically modified seeds. You have pesticides. You have fertilizers. You have all these things that if you're not seeing it, it is a little like scary because it's not natural. And also in those
like
areas.
My lip.
Yeah, like your lip. Also in those areas where there's industrial farming, like it's not necessarily like you don't want to necessarily like live there. Like I lived in Mississippi, actually, agricultural center of like the country for 2 years right after college, and worked in local news there. And like,
she looks younger than she is.
I know, it was actually, that was 1992. It was 2012. And so like, the farmers there, like they probably, I think that they might have like higher cancer rates. Like it's not ideal. However, we are actually producing food on less land. It's like 1/3 the amount of land that we used to do it, because it's so abundant and it's so efficient that like, while like are those patches of land that we're growing the food ideal, but we're using less land and we're feeding more people.
Nuance. This is nuance,
so it's nuance.
right?
And so I think
like
now,
we don't want people to have cancer
maha,
for no reason.
I mean, like I'm so maha
averse?
No. I'm so not maha averse. I would say sympathetic. I'm so maha sympathetic, but I really am not afraid of anything. I'm not like really worried about microplastics. Like
you're not.
I mean, I just think we're more resilient than you think. Like, I just feel like the human body's really resilient. A lot of the studies that came out that was like, you have a credit card of microplastics like in your brain have been debunked.
Oh, you have a what?
Like, there was one like famous study that came out like within like the last 2 years that was like the average person has like a credit card worth of plastic like in their brain or something. Ew. And then it came out that it was like based on faulty science. And like in the end of the day, like, I'm jumping around, but these ideas of like fertilizers, pesticides, plastics, like actually they all come from fossil fuels, ironically, which are hydrocarbons, which have CO2, which release CO2 molecules when you like burn them in our cars. And like, I'm going to like mess things up now because I'm not a chemist, but like basically the fact of the matter is like when you break up the world into like unnatural and natural, I feel like it's more scary than to be like, wow, we have this really amazing resource that was buried in our earth, fossil fuels, which are these hydrocarbons that you can power your cars with, that you can make plastics from, that you can fertilizer. Our fertilizer comes from fossil fuels as well. It powers the combine tractors that make our food system. And so I look at it and I go, I went from being afraid of something to being so grateful for something. And it's a really way better way to live.
Yes. But in your bio, you actually did tell me before we met, because we never met, but you did say that you believe in optimism.
Yes.
I mean, I think there has to be like optimism with you know,
being savvy about stuff, not just like having your head in the sand and thinking everything's hunky dory.
Yeah, I think based on what you just told me, there's a middle ground.
Yeah,
at least for me,
totally.
I'm like a diehard, like middle of the road lady. Like that's my jam. But there's got to be like I'm grateful for fossil fuels for my literal life. Yeah, I don't like doing laundry.
Yeah, no, seriously,
I don't like doing laundry, and I have like a washer dryer.
I would not survive.
I don't like
on the
doing
outback,
dishes.
You know?
I literally don't even like loading my dishwasher.
You're like, so hard. You need a robot.
Actually, I have a wonderful husband. Okay, but love him. But like, and that's
so amazing.
The reason why I can be here.
Yeah,
it's
totally.
It's fossil fuels.
Yeah,
that's a real thing.
Yeah,
and like there's, you know, there's got to be there, and I don't want to be afraid all the time.
Right, exactly.
That's the real thing. I will say, like, you know, I you know, like my family has like been through a terrible tragedy, and what I realize is like, oh, when you're really dealing with shit, you do not have anything extra to panic over. Maybe not.
Yes, yeah.
And I have a sort of clue into why, you know, there are some people who are diehard activists. They have a lot.
It's like a privileged position. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. And I think one thing that really woke me up to this too is the fact that I think it's 600 million people, mostly in Africa, don't even have access to electricity. And so that a lifestyle where you don't have access to electricity means that your kids are walking and collecting wood or dung so that you can cook in your small enclosed hut your meals. So your kids aren't going to school because they're out all day working, or they're walking to a well barefoot to get your one plastic bottle, or your one plastic bucket is your family's big possession that they go and fill with water and bring back, and then you boil it with the wood that they collect. So the biggest thing you can do to help the most people right now is if they got a gas stove, just a propane sort of type stove that you can think of, they can then have their kids go to school because their kids are no longer collecting wood all day. And I don't like the climate movement because I think it vilifies this amazing technology that has liberated children and women across the world. And they have this very ideological take that it's ruining the planet. And then you're like, okay, but what are we going to replace it with? They're like, I don't know, like solar and wind, like we'll figure it out later, like, because it's so existential. And you're like, no, but like, what are you going to replace it with? Because like, we're not replacing cooking on a stove with some solar panel that you're getting from China that is not even working at night because the sun is not out.
But also, aren't we like not supposed to be getting things from China? I'm wearing a full outfit from China.
Well,
it's Shein.
Everything is from
That's
China.
when I want to tell you what a hypocrite I am. I'm like, I recycle, reduce, reuse, recycle. I'm a good person, and I just buy stuff. I just buy plastic outfits from Shein. You know,
you're employing someone in China, you know?
No.
Someone's working.
I guess. Wouldn't I rather someone in America work but not
but it would
charge
be like
me that much money?
$1,000.
Exactly. This outfit would cost a lot of money.
Yeah, I think
I'm not the only the reason why I say it out loud is because I'm not the only hypocrite out there. And maybe I don't have to
I'm not
feel
a
so bad
hypocrite
about
because
it.
I don't moralize, and it feels so amazing. I'm literally like, yeah, you can't make me a hypocrite because I'm saying first that I'm not.
That
if you don't have values, you're not a hypocrite. I'm just kidding. but my I feel like
that's the cut down.
Yeah.
Did you hear it?
You don't have values, you can't be a hypocrite.
Okay, there you go.
No, but I think that when I was in the climate movement, I had so much cognitive dissonance where it was I had a forward facing perspective and persona where I'm like, guys, do this, like do that, compost, and I felt very like airy, and I was like trying, like almost like I was in my head, you know, and like my energy was very like high, and I'm like, do this, do that. And now I'm just like, you know what? Do what's best for your family. Like prioritize what's right for you. In the end of the day, we are so lucky to be alive now. And the idea that we're going to feel guilty for being modern humans, we didn't choose to be born in, you know, for me, 1999 and you 1982.
No, why are you aging me? What are you doing?
My point is that
because I got Botox?
We didn't choose to be born in modern times, and so much of my 20s was spent feeling so guilty about using things that were just part of the time that I was born in, and all my mental energy went to that versus having my mental energy go toward being grateful. And it's just not a great way to live, and I think a lot of women right now, their energy is very dispersed out. Like we're so empathetic to every cause that comes up on our algorithm, and it's scary. Really sad. And like I think I had that happen to me long ago, like 10 the last, I don't know, it was like 10 years ago up until 5 years ago. So I think my story, the cause that sucked me in was climate, but there's so many causes that try to hijack our empathy these days. And I think it's really important for women to have gratitude and emotional boundaries. And then once you have those emotional boundaries, it doesn't mean you still can't be involved, but I think you'll decide to be involved in your community versus caring about someone across the world. Like in the end of the day, you're not really meant to know about every single thing. And like the climate is just one example of, I think, these like kind of global causes that are kind of making us all go crazy.
Oh, they made me totally crazy.
Yeah. Did you used to be like very political and then like?
I mean, no, I'm not. In general, I'm not that political. I was raised religious. So I have a lot of affinity for people who are conservative. And I went to acting school and NYU, and I work in media and Hollywood, and I'm progressive and left. The two worlds combined really make me a moderate, and have always made me a moderate.
Yeah,
really?
That makes sense.
Because my skill set is empathy, which can be hijacked very quickly. I mean, in the past 2 years, I'm Jewish and my parents are Israeli. I have really felt a lot of pain around what's going on in Israel, but also around the world. But I'm realizing now that I have this like personal tragedy, this personal loss, I realize how, oh God, I wasted all of that time with my family. I wasted all of my life force just being like jerked around by my social media feed. And that actually, I think it's important to talk about climate, but I think what really was why I was excited to talk about it to you is because you have this like media savvy and like it took from you, and also you're still in the game. You're still building media platforms. How do you do that without fear? Yeah. How do you, because I had my first child in 2017, and the fear around Trump coming into office and that first big anti-Semitic rally, and it was so scary to bring a child into the world. And then in 2019, I had my daughter, and then it was COVID, and it's like, we have people listening who want to live good lives, want to share good lives with their families. I thought that was such great advice, by the way, to buffer ourselves, to have empathy, but not like just spill it out all over.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that women need to understand that when you all of a sudden are seeing everyone sharing the same graphic and like infographic, we can all think of the different ones, and like I'm thinking of the Israel-Palestine stuff. Like we all saw them, and I think there was even like Miss Rachel was sharing one of it being like, they're starving in Israel, and it was a kid from Syria.
I know.
And it's like, but then when you see it, like you'll see these waves, and once you see it, you kind of go, oh, they even activated again. And it's all the moms who are getting so worked up. And I have friends from college and things who I'm not like super close with, but like a lot of them they're young moms, right? They have like a 1-year-old, or they're postpartum, and I know they're struggling with their mental health. And then I'm seeing them post.
Well, we're really vulnerable at that time.
Yes, exactly.
We're literally
like
open.
They're so open. Yes.
Literally.
Yes.
Like
I know.
Our whole center. The whole thing.
Yes. And so
then our person is out in the world and not in.
It's crazy. I know, and also you're searching for an identity because like you have this new identity emerging of being a mom, and it's a very destabilizing time. And so to become very political and to engulf yourself, for me, I see a lot of people to become very left wing, and they are pushing very extreme information that's shared from that side. It's like they're taking comfort in it, but at the same time, I don't feel like it's making them whole. I don't think that means that they're activated in their community, maybe other than going to an occasional protest and like being keyboard warriors. Right. And I think for me, I went through a lot of that, and I'm very sensitive now to when I feel like my energy is being sucked out of me and I'm triggered. And like, I just made an intention. It's like kind of my New Year's resolution where I'm like, I'm not giving my energy to stuff anymore. Like, it sounds almost like it could be misunderstood, but it's like, like you're saying, your life force. I can just feel it sometimes.
No,
when
your literal life.
like,
I mean,
I
we're
literally,
not
like,
here forever.
and something's like freaking me out, and whether it could come from all sides, like when Trump does something crazy, like one time I felt it a lot was like when he was doing the no, when he was doing the no, you have to just laugh. When he was doing the tariffs, I was like, I'm so freaked out by this. Like it's gonna be like a 1929 like depression, and I felt it. I felt myself, and then I was like, and then it kind of like nothing really happened.
Yeah.
And that
For a second, my Shein stuff, my AliExpress orders really did
were delayed.
Stall.
I mean, this is like the suffering we go through in the modern age, and no one
mean,
talks about
I
it.
I have dealt with real suffering,
No,
and
it's
now
like
I can
actually,
literally
like,
laugh
can we
at.
talk more about this? No, I'm just kidding.
I wish that was suffering. I really do. I genuinely wish that was suffering.
But my point is, like, that was one example where I remember I was very anxious. I was like consuming so much news, trying to get like a hit of like feeling safe, and then like it kind of peaked, and then it crested, and nothing happened, and I was like, you know what? I'm not doing that again.
Right.
And then like the next thing was like Greenland, and everyone's like, he's gonna buy Greenland, and like someone's like, what do you think about that? And I'm like,
He's an asshole.
no, it also, it's like,
I think he's an asshole.
I have no, like, I don't even care. Like, I literally am like, that maybe, but this is the thing. When I was very left, they'd be like, that's such a privileged statement that, like, you don't care. And I'm like, oh, whatever. I don't know. But, like, but the thing is, it's like, it doesn't matter to me because now I'll tell you, I'm involved in my church at my community. You know what I mean? Like, I'm raising 2 kids. I'm getting involved in, like, the politics in my community. Like, I'm such a more activated person now because it's like, when I want to do something on the local level, I do it. Like, I do stuff versus before I was like,
well,
and
I
so
think
it's upside down world where people think like this online activism, it means you're a good person. And what I'm trying to model is it's not. And really, we should all be getting more involved in the local level and healing ourselves first. Because if you don't heal yourself and create some sort of order within yourself, you're just going to keep spilling out everywhere. And you're getting, like you said, pulled from topic to topic. So like the mental space I was in for a really long time, which was like, I want to post. I feel like I have something to say. I feel like I have something to say. Like I feel that internal feeling.
By the way, I had that. I felt like I had to debunk every myth about literally me.
Yeah.
It really took many years off my life.
Yeah.
And
Wait, what are you saying? Like,
away.
I just said something to say to like defend yourself, or what are you saying?
Well, like as a Jew, I just felt like I needed to get on the internet, and like it was such I was in so much panic for so long, being like an advocate. And it was such mental hell, and then I'd be with my own family on my phone.
Ooh, yeah.
And I look back, and I lost years with my family. Like
that's
that I'll never get back.
Yeah.
Thinking I was defending them.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that I wasn't. It wasn't
right.
But what kind of dent am I really gonna make?
Yeah, and I think there is a way to make a difference when you're in alignment with what your soul is meant to do, and that is really impactful. Like you have this show, and we're talking, and I'm, it's almost like you have to leave it from this sort of manic place that feels very stressful, ground yourself, figure out who you really are, and then come back from an empowered
Is that what
place.
happened with you?
Yeah, that was happening for me. And I think when I started to question the climate movement, I did not feel comfortable speaking out because I was like, oh my God, if I speak out, like I'm going to get so much freaking backlash.
Well, and the truth is, you do.
Yeah, I'm called like a shill. I'm called a paid off shill.
Wouldn't it be great if you were paid off?
No, I know. I'm
honestly,
like literally.
People are like, how much is Israel paying you? I was like, honestly.
I know that. Israel, like,
the amount of money
7K?
I have lost.
Yeah.
But anyway, go on.
I also think there's a climate change and Israel parallel.
Oh no.
You're like, no, you're like, it was
God.
the Jews. I'm just
I
kidding.
don't
because
from
but
literally everything.
Okay, but I never talk about any topics like that are in the news. But I did have made like 2 videos about Israel because the amount of misinformation and fear mongering around Israel is so damaging. And I see the similar thing where the Western media is playing like cover for Hamas essentially, in the way that they cover Israel. Israel's the enemy, and then when they cover climate change, it's like American consumerism. The West is the enemy, so they like will glaze China and be like, China, like climate leader, and I'm like, China has 10x more coal plants than the U.S. Okay, ma'am. So like, and so there's weird parallels where it's very anti-Western, very anti-human, very anti-progress, and that's how the media portrays climate change and how they cover Israel.
But why? As a media professional, why?
Because these newsrooms are full of ideologues who are not smart, and they just that's the ideology that they've imbibed. It's sort of like cultural Marxism, which sounds so extreme to say, but it's very just anti-West. And they're just not, they're in ideological groupthink. They're not thinking critically. I don't know if you just saw like AOC did a like media tour. My point is that these newsrooms are just full of very ideological people who just, the water they're swimming in is that America is the worst and the West is the worst. And we're kind of, all of the world's problems are our fault.
I have to tell you, as a first-generation American, it breaks my heart.
America's the best.
I mean, I also live in New York with a bunch of immigrants, and I'm just like, we're always being like, oh, isn't it so nice that we live in America? Like, I'm like the first. My father, who's an immigrant, is like the guy in the front seat of the cab talking to the guy, I don't know, the driver, who's just happy to be making money and sending it back to his
solid place.
His
like
father,
it's just more solid.
family, and wherever. Anyway, I just like it.
Like
that
the
breaks
level of
my
functioning
heart.
that we have in the U.S. compared to other parts of the world, and I think the privileged class here of like the overeducated elite, they have like which I come from, and I used to be part of this. They just don't understand what other countries are like, and we take for granted a level of like functioning. It
genuinely breaks my heart. That people take that for granted, because there are countries where there is real suffering,
and also that
like real life suffering.
Real life, like even just not even having reliable electricity. The most people can do is heal yourself, honestly, and figure out your energetic boundaries and show up as an embodied present person. And I think, you'll start to see where you can make an impact, but don't do things based off of the heightened state of your algorithm that's pushing you around. And if you feel drawn to somehow get connected to Africa and the nonprofits that exist to get gas stoves in these places, like those places exist, but I don't like have off the top of my head, like do X, Y, and Z.
If you're listening to Mom Curious, I know that you have a particular interest in the arts, in culture, in exciting hangs that are IRL. And I know that you could use a break after the summer, quote unquote, break. So I want to invite you to a really exciting film festival that's happening on Fire Island after the kids have left and the families have departed. And it's happening September 18th, 19th, and 20th. It's going to be an incredible hang for tastemakers, industry leaders, of course, filmmakers. And I want you to be there. I'll be there too, so I'll tell you a little bit more about it. The Grove and Pines Film Festival is a love letter to Fire Island, New York. At the film festival, there will be exclusive screenings, top-tier entertainment, exciting parties, merch, secret lounges, and so much more. It's a celebration of authentic queer storytelling. It's happening September 18th, 19th, and 20th. The tickets are on sale now at groveandpinesfilmfestival.com. You wouldn't want to miss the inaugural year of a history-making festival. Grove and Pines Film Festival is a proud nonprofit 501c3 who are offering a $5,000 grant to LGBTQ filmmakers. And we can't wait to see you. So check out GAPFF.com for more details.
I just want to underscore what you're saying, because you work in social media.
Yeah.
Like, you are there. And you're saying, do not be swayed even by your work.
Right. And I love social media now, and I have a lot of influencers that I follow who I really like, and I my algorithm is very different than what it was, where I would get really worked up, and I will always unfollow people that I don't like, or I realize they're sharing some stupid take. I just unfollow them. And but then if I catch myself getting my blood pressure starts to rise if I'm on one of the platforms and it starts to get a little worked up, I'll be like, okay, I need to take a break. And so just, creating that space inside of yourself so you have that awareness to pause and not just like get completely consumed, because it's an amazing technology. I owe everything to social media, but at the same time, the downsides of it are bad. Like I was reading someone who said technology is neutral, right? Like the written word got us like the American Constitution, and it got us Mein Kampf by Hitler, right? Like, and the same thing with social media. Like it can be so amazing because every person has a phone in their pocket, and with the investment of that phone and internet connection, you can become an influencer. Yeah. You could provide for your family. Never in the history of the world has like the startup costs been a few $100. And then at the same time, you have people who are, brainwashed and radicalized and so it's all about the person behind the technology and where your consciousness is, how you end up using it.
Okay.
We'll just say I think that like we're living through this time where for the past 10 years we've gone through a huge cultural societal shift with this advent of social media, and I think we're just making sense of it, where we've had social media, and then you've had like the algorithm activism and all these different movements, and it was like Me Too, then it was climate, BLM, pro-Palestine, you know, like I think, you know, once you start to see it and you're like I was saying, you kind of see the memes get shared and like everyone getting hyped up and you go, oh, they've been activated again. And like now I kind of think of it like, I think of it as being activated. And one thing that I said, and maybe this is like woo woo, but I feel like you're like down for that stuff. It's like every time.
How would you know that I'm woo woo? Because there's a big rock in the middle. Our executive producer is a witch.
I love that.
Self-proclaimed witch.
Is I think of it now as every time I see people losing their center through social media, I'm like, it's energy harvesting. Like someone's harvesting their energy. And so now I'm like, I will not let my energy be harvested. So where and it could come from any angle, right? And I'm just like, not today.
It actually can come. I mean,
Yeah.
as the moderate,
Yeah.
it can come from all sides.
It comes from all sides. And it's
all
anything
sides.
that's disempowering you, that makes you feel overwhelmed. Like if you're buying into a narrative that you're powerless, that the world is an evil place run by evil people by any means, like, and there's no point, everything's rigged, all of these disempowering narratives are harvesting your energy, because you're then saying, I'm a small, insignificant person. I'm not going to do anything then.
But all those people in the newsroom, they have jobs.
Yeah.
Based on harvesting that energy.
And I don't even think it's conscious. You know,
Oh, you
I
don't think it's on purpose?
No, I don't. I think that they live in a worldview where America is the enemy for some reason, and so they push things to fulfill that narrative on a subconscious level. And I also think that they're pushing fear because it pushes clicks, and you're trying to get like, I even now will be like, what can I have my caption be that's scroll stopping? I'm not trying to scare people, but I'm making a statement so that people will stop and they'll read it, right? And so historically the news, it's more fear and extreme narratives will get people to stop, and that's the human psychology.
You see everything that's
Yes.
very scary.
Yeah, it's so true. But I know, because I have people in my family who are like, don't watch the news for their mental health, and I have people are like, can you believe she doesn't watch the news for her mental health? And I'm like, yeah, I actually think if you don't work in the news, like, why do you need to follow everything? Because you don't have power over it. You have power when you vote, and you have power on the local level. No one's following the local news.
I do love New York One.
No, I know. But I'm saying no one's following what's going on in their local
doesn't
town.
love New York
No,
One?
New York One's great. I mean, listen, I worked in local news for 2 years. I love local news, but it needs to have renaissance.
New York One is everything. Follow the people who build you up. Follow Lucy Biggers.
Yes.
She's got charts.
All my charts are there, you guys.
All the charts are there. So now's the time to close Spotify
I love a chart.
and go to a chart that Lucy Biggers shares, because they make me feel a little bit better.
Deaths from natural disasters are down 99% in the last 100 years. I mean, what's not to love?
Say it again.
Deaths from natural disasters are down 99% over the past 100 years. So what's not to love? We're safer than ever.
Well, I love that.
Yeah.
Especially as women.
Yeah.
And also, like, now, like, we've doubled the population too, by the way.
Which is crazy.
Well, we've doubled the population that can solve problems.
Yeah. True.
Because we're not doing laundry and dishes. Not that I do either of them anyway.
Yeah, we're not like just milling grain by hand and like spinning yarn or whatever our ancestors were doing, which now like it's glamorized. Like the trad wives do it for fun.
Oh, well, they're just making
Which
money.
I love that
we
for
love
them.
them for them.
I love that for them because it's their choice.
Business women.
They're business women.
It's
a brand.
Business women.
No, but I'm always like everyone. Like I think nowadays with parents, we're like, oh, I'm not spending enough time with like my 6-month-old, like showing them contrast cards to like, make them peak human. I'm like, you realize your mom was like literally working and the baby was like in the other room, just like, ugh.
Because she was putting food on the table.
Yeah,
that's
like,
why she was.
She
working.
was hand making like sourdough, not by choice, but that's what cooking was. So she didn't have time to show you a contrast card, sweetheart.
I love the message that like, oh, these influencers, they're making money off of your insecurities and your fear.
Yeah.
I'm not making any money off of your insecurities and fear, actually, but I want people to know that.
Yeah.
I want moms to know that like these are business platforms. These are like personal brand platforms. I can't say brand because I got Botox for free on my lip, but I just want you to know that.
Full circle.
Oh, never not. All right, you got it? At Lucy Biggers on Instagram, at Daniella Urbani. The DMs are open. I know you have a lot to say. I know you,
Woo!
and I know that about you, and that's why I love you so much.
This has been a Hoff Studios production, executive producer Laura Lucetti. I'm your host and creator, Daniella Urbani. Come find me at Daniella Urbani. My DMs are open and I want to hear everything. Also, if you like the show, please send it to a friend and leave a review because we are in this together.